Matthew chapter 8. When he came down from the mountain, large crowds followed him. Right away a man with a serious skin disease came up and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, if you are willing, can you make me clean?" Reaching out his hand, he touched him, saying, "I am willing, be made clean." Immediately the man's disease was healed. Then Jesus told him, "See that you tell no one about this. Don't tell anyone. But go, show yourself to the priests, and offer the gift that Moses prescribes, as a testimony to them." Now, many would ask, why is Jesus saying not to tell about his miracles? And we'll ask this question, we'll be able to ask this question throughout the rest of the Gospels. Why does Jesus not want people to know that he's doing the miracle? And many people will say, well, it's because he doesn't want his ministry to really be known. He doesn't want to become like the military messiah, and doesn't want to have that earthly rule at this time. And yes, that may be correct. There may be some validity in that. But I think that the true understanding of this is that Christ wants them to go to the temple, offer the gifts that Moses prescribed, and this would be a testimony to God, right? That not that a man healed them, but that God healed them, and that God used a man whose name is Jesus to heal them. And this is a really, I think an important thing for us to recognize as Christians today is, like, why are Christians not healing people? Well, maybe it's because Christians would want to be pointed at whenever they were able to heal someone. Jesus says, go, pretend like I wasn't in a part of this equation, offer the gifts that you were supposed to offer according to Moses, and that's going to be the testimony that God healed you, that God removed this serious skin disease. And if we were to think about it like that, yes, we're not going to tell people, okay, go offer a lamb to the temple now once they're healed. But what we as Christians could say is, now you go be the willing and obedient sacrifice that would have been the prescribed thing from Moses. But you be that sacrifice to the temple, and you can be the testimony with the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony to be able to bring people out of sin. Verse 5. When he entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, "Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed in terrible agony." Now, this term is not servant in verse 6. "Lord, my slave is lying at home paralyzed in terrible agony. I will come and heal him," Jesus told the centurion. "Lord," the centurion replied, "I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant, my slave, will be cured. For I too am a man under authority, having soldiers under my command. I say to this one, 'Go,' and he goes, and another, 'Come,' and he comes, and to my slave, 'Do this,' and he does it." Hearing this, Jesus was amazed and said to those following him, "I assure you, I have not found anyone in Israel with so great a faith. I tell you that many will come from east and west and recline at the table of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be thrown out into outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Then Jesus told the centurion, "Go, as you have believed, let it be done for you." And his servant was cured that very moment. Now we'll see in other Gospels, as we read them, that there's actually an account of servants coming to meet the centurion and them verifying that at the very moment that Jesus says this, that the slave of the centurion is actually healed. And this is absolutely beautiful. There are other things that we need to be able to recognize, though, in this, is that this centurion is not a Jew. He's someone who is an outsider. He's a Gentile. And even the Gentile has such faith in the authority that Christ has on this world and in our lives, that he equates worldly authority with the spiritual authority. That there is a hierarchy of power within the heavens. God is the king on the throne, and Christ is at his right hand and is the power of God, right? The mighty right hand of God. And under them, under God, under him, is the angels. There are the elders and the angels at the foot of the throne that we see in Revelation. So there is a power and an understanding that needs to come from authority and how God works within the realm of the heavens and the realm of the earth. Jesus told the centurion, verse 13, "Go as you have believed, let it be done for you." And his servant was cured that very moment. Verse 14, when Jesus went into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. So he touched her hand, and the fever left her. Then she got up and began to serve him. When evening came, they brought to him every one who was demon-possessed. He drove out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick, so that what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah might be fulfilled. He himself took our weakness and carried our diseases. Now, this is encouraging that Christ is able to, we're able to see Christ walk into a situation where someone is lying in bed with fever and change that immediately. And so in such an immediate way that she's able to get up and serve them. But what really needs to draw our attention is the fact that Matthew describes this, and many of the other gospel accounts will describe these healings as people who are demon-possessed. And this is something that we've lost in today's Christianity and in the Western world. And I think that we want to put mental stigmatisms or some sort of diagnosis for something that is something more, may be something more. And our eyes need to be able to be opened to be able to see that someone might not be suffering from anxiety or depression, but there might be a demon that is either possessing or crippling an individual that we can rebuke and cast off in the name of Christ. Following Jesus. Verse 18. When Jesus saw large crowds around him, he gave the order to go to the other side of the sea. A scribe approached him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus told him, "Foxes have dens, and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." "Lord," another of his disciples said, "first let me go bury my father." But Jesus told him, "Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead." It's a very hard passage to be able to speak into. But what we must recognize is that just as the birds of the air do not sow, nor reap, nor gather into barns, the Father provides for them. God the Father provides dens for the foxes to sleep in, nests for the birds to be able to rest in, but there's no place for the rest for the Son of Man. He's not able to lay his head down in any place because he's always moving, he's always going, he's always doing the will of the Father. Now, this doesn't mean that he doesn't have rest, right? He's not able to sleep because Jesus was human. He needed to sleep. He did lay his head down, but he didn't have a home to be able to stay at permanently, right? And that's something that people like to cling to. They need as a place of security. I need a home to be able to provide for my wife and my kids and be able to have them to be raised up. And I need to be able to take care of my father who has taken care of me. And I need to take care of my mother who's raised me. But Jesus is saying that sometimes in this life, we're going to have to go to places that are hard. We're going to have to do things that are hard, and we're going to have to leave people that we love to be able to do the will of God. And it's going to hurt to say that the person that is close to us is dead and they're going to bury their dead. But we have to stay on the narrow path. We have to stay with Christ, and it's a difficult journey to walk. Verse 23, as he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. Suddenly a violent storm arose on the sea, so that the boat was being swamped by the waves. But he was sleeping. Jesus was sleeping. So the disciples came and woke him up, saying, Lord, save us. We're going to die. But he said to them, why are you fearful, you of little faith? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the sea obey him. Now we've all seen like this picture of like Jesus in this really small fisherman boat, 12 other guys with him. He's on the bottom of the boat sleeping, and he just gets up and tells the waves to be quiet and to be still, and they do. And it's absolutely amazing. But we've got to recognize the faith factor here, right? The faith that Christ says we're going to the other side. He got into the boat with his disciples, and they're going to another place that God has called them to be. And yes, there's going to be waves. Yes, there's going to be storms in every single thing that you go to with God. But you're not going to die. He's not going to leave you there to die. And in that, we even have the power and the ability through Christ to be able to rebuke the winds and the waves that come against us, so that we can walk clearly, so that we can sleep in the midst of the storm, and know that we are protected. Verse 28, when he had come to the other side, to the region of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men met him as they came out of the tombs. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. Suddenly they shouted, what do you have to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time? Now, a long way off from them, a large herd of pigs was feeding. If you drive us out, the demons begged him, send us into the herd of pigs. Go, he told them. So when they had come out, they entered the pigs, and suddenly the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and perished in the water. Then the men who tended them fled. They went into the city and reported everything, especially what had happened to those who were demon-possessed. At that, the whole town went out to meet Jesus. When they saw him, they begged him to leave their region. So this obviously represents or shows the heart of the people. One, this is a part of Israel, and they're feeding a herd, or they have a herd of pigs, which are detestable to God, unclean animals according to Leviticus, right? These would have been things that Jews wouldn't have even touched, and it's an abomination that they would have had to be feeding them, right? This is such a low status. But these people are so concerned with the financial aspect of the trade with the Romans that they're willing to remove their dignity, remove their the requirements that Christ's teaching, that the law teaches, and they'll remove that so that they can feed the Romans, so that they can receive income from the Romans. But these demons who are within the 2 men recognize that they're able to, instead of being tormented or passed through a place of torment, are able to go into the herds of pigs. Now, why they want to do this, why they want to die that way, is a mystery to me, and I won't even begin to try to understand that. But what we should recognize is that Christ is able to recognize that these men are demon-possessed. The town recognizes that these men were demon-possessed, and they're no longer. But they would rather have Jesus leave from the region than for him to continue to do his work.